And it started off with just, a quick overview of looking at the Genesis story, and I didn't really have any high hopes for picking things out of the Genesis story, because it's such a muddle that you wouldn't really credit that you could find much history in there. This is right at the beginning of the biblical story. Who are Adam and Eve? But it immediately struck me that the location was wrong for a start. This did not happen in Babylon. It clearly says, and I don't have the quote here in front of me, but anyway, it says, a river ran out of Eden to the garden, and from then it was split and became 4 branches.
Right, yeah.
Again, I think it's Genesis 2:11 or something. I haven't got the reference. But there is only one river that does that. So here's a river that goes through Eden. From the garden, it goes through Eden, and then it splits into 4 branches. There is only one river that does that in this region, and that is the Nile. And so I had a look at it, of course, and we're all brought up on this being the Euphrates and the Tigris, but of course the Bible doesn't mention Euphrates and Tigris. It mentions the Pishon and the Gihon and the Kikadel and the Parath. So where were these rivers? Well, quite obviously to me, these were the original 4 branches of the Nile. So you had the Pelusiac, the Saltic, wasn't it? Yeah, the Saltic, the Rosetta, and the Canoptic. They were the 4 branches of the Nile. So here's the true location for Eden. It was not in Babylon, it was in Egypt. And so the question is then, what was Eden? Can we narrow it down a little bit? And I think we can, because the Garden of Eden was actually the Garden of Aten. Eden and Aten are spelled more or less exactly the same in the Hebrew. So it was the Kan Aten. In Egyptian it's called the Kan Aten, which means the Garden of the Aten. And of course the Aten was the god of Akhenaten. That's why he was called that, because his god was called the Aten. So the Garden of Eden was actually one of the gardens within Amarna, which was, the new city that was made by Akhenaten, Pharaoh Akhenaten. And of course, that's why, if you look at the Old Testament, God in the Old Testament, I think he has 4 or 5 names. Anyway, he's called Elohim, which is odd because that's a plural for a single deity. He's known by the plural. He was called Yahweh, of course, and another name which I've just quickly forgotten, something like Shamash, but not Shamash. I'll remember it soon. And anyway, the last name he was known by was the Aten. So if you actually look in the Old Testament, half the time, well, no less than that, maybe 20% of the time, he's actually called the Aten. And no doubt that was taken, directly from the god Aten, or Aten, which was the god of Pharaoh Akhenaten. So it seems clear to me that Adam and Eve were actually Akhenaten and Nefertiti. And the reason that this has been stuffed at the beginning of the Bible, obviously we're not in chronological order now, because this comes before Abraham. Abraham was about 1800 BC. A mention of Akhenaten should not come until at least the sort of Exodus pages or something.
I see, yeah.
So why did it get stuffed right at the beginning? Because the story looked like a creation myth, the Genesis story. But it wasn't a creation myth. If you look at the Genesis story, it's actually a copy, a direct copy of the hymn to the Aten. And again, I'm not sure if listeners are familiar with the hymn to the Aten. I don't have a copy in front of me to give you a sample. But anyway, it is not about the creation of the world. It's about the dawning of a new day. Mm-hmm. So it's about the sun coming over the horizon and its rays coming out to meet, mankind and all of the animals, and the animals stirring into new life for the dawn of the new day. So it's not the dawn of creation, it's the dawn of a new day. It's the animals coming to life as the world warms up, and they sort of, they come back from their slumbers, and they get up and wake and start doing all their things they do. This was the story of the hymn to the Aten, and it's a direct copy. Well, sorry, the other way round. The Genesis story is a direct copy of it. And so someone obviously looked at this story and thought, wow, that looks like a creation epic. We'll bung that at the beginning of the Bible, but it's in the wrong place. And we know it's in the wrong place because in the second copy of the Old Testament that we have, which is called Antiquities, which was written by Josephus Flavius, he has a rival copy of the Old Testament, which is actually more original than the one we have, because he took his copy from the ruins of the Temple of Jerusalem in AD 70, and his copy was from about 500 BC. It was much older than the copy that we have now. And Josephus basically just copied all of this, and he made his own Old Testament. But it's quite different in many places to the one we have. Mm-hmm. And of the Genesis story, he says that Moses said that this was not a creation epic, this was just one day. Yeah, because it was the hymn to the Aten, so Moses was correct. And Moses, by the way, was the brother of Akhenaten, whose name was Moses, of course.
Not Aaron, the story we get in the Bible?
Well, there were two brothers. There was Aaron and Moses. And in the real world, of course, they were Akhenaten and Tuthmosis. Mm.